Today on Light of the Word with Pastor Ray.
Jesus was walking in Jerusalem, walking in Israel. For anyone here today, anyone listening online, I hope the Messiah doesn't walk through your church and through your home and through your city, and you don't even know that that's him. He's walking among you, and he's extending himself. He's making the offer for you to come. And so often, how easy, and I'll say it even for myself, how easy it is to miss the Messiah walking amongst us.
Open your heart to us, Lord, so we can know your word. We come before you, Jesus. Speak to our hearts as we discover your love for us. How wide, how deep, how far. Pour into us so we can learn to follow. One surrender at a time. You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and right. By the light of the word.
Has there ever been a time in your life when the greatest blessing was right in front of you, but you didn't recognize it at first? When Jesus walked among the people, many saw him, yet did not believe he was the promised Messiah they had been waiting for. Scripture also tells us that there will come a time when God will open the eyes of his people to the truth of who he is. That's why in today's message, Pastor Ray encourages you to recognize the truth of Jesus Christ now. Receive his grace before it is too late. Well, let's join Pastor Ray in the book of Genesis chapter 49 for today's edition of Light of the Word.
When someone rises up in anger, maybe it's in a marriage, maybe it's in your workplace, maybe it's just family around the dinner tables coming up, and you go, why are they angry? What is it that they fear? And then you have this whole thing that you can try to dispel the fusion that's happening there and the fuel that's coming, that you can calm the moment and maybe even just say, you don't need to fear. And you have this opportunity. So here we come to Judah, verse 8 through 12. Judah, you are he whom your brothers shall praise. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's children shall bow down before you. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He bows down, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion, who shall rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the people. Verse 11, binding his donkey to the vine and his donkey's colt to the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine and his teeth whiter than milk. This is amazing to me in that he's dying. He's at the end. He's 147 years old, and yet he's prophesying. He's not going necessarily backwards like he did with the others. He's going forward, and God's given him a prophetic word of the future to come. And I just find that, what a place. You know, the older you get, you can still have that place where you get to prophesy about a future. And I think there's something, you know, even as we're talking like the Good News Club, you get to speak a prophecy to these children. You get to do it here in the children's ministry. You get to do it in your home, and you can prophesy, listen, God has great things for you. God's going to do great things for you because God's favor is upon you. The word of the Lord will lead you and guide you and all these things. And I just look at Jacob and go, you know what? And regardless of your age, but maybe you're in the latter years of your, we still have this glory that we can speak prophecy. We get to speak the word of the Lord. And all prophecy is foretelling the word of God. Yeah, there's prophecy that speaks something prophetic upon a person's life, like such and such is going to be your future, but there's just a prophecy of that all of us get to speak. The Lord's hand is upon you. The Lord wants to do great and awesome things in your life. Beautiful word here. Well, here what Judah means praise. And here we have the ultimate prophetic picture is that through Judah, the lineage of David will come King David, and then the King of Kings, the great King, Jesus Christ. Everything he's prophesying, Jesus would become. If you look at verse 8, 9, and 10, your hand shall be on the neck of your enemy. Judah is a lion's whelp, and until Shiloh comes. So the Lion of Judah comes in the victory, and he roars at death, and he roars at sin that overcomes, and he roars in this power. And then what does Shiloh mean? It means peace. Only the one has that ability to be a lion who can bring peace as he roars at his enemies, that I will not back down. And isn't it a beautiful place? Our Jesus never backed down. He never backed down. He is a man's man, and I always make that statement. Hollywood can't make movies because they can never make great Jesus movies because there's never a man enough to play Jesus on the face of this planet. And no offense to those that are trying, I don't mean that in any way, but there's no man like Jesus. And here we see a fulfillment. The Christmas cards are coming, Isaiah 9, 6, and 7, and speaks of the Prince of Peace. But you want to hear something that's amazing. If you look at verse 10, it says, the scepter shall not depart. The scepter meant family lineage. The scepter was a staff. Every family had like a banner. They had a scepter. They had a family emblem that represented their family. In this case, for Judah, it was the lion. And you can read through and see the other 12. It's an interesting study as you go through those type of things. But the scepter meant lineage. And it says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah. And here we're having a prophetic picture of the Messiah who would come through the line. This is the beginning of, through the lineage of Judah will come the Messiah. You will know who your Messiah is because he will come through King David. All these things going all the way back here. We need these things because if it said, if this was applied into Reuben, then the whole Bible would be wrong. But here we can follow the life of Jesus, born in Bethlehem, the city of David, Christmas coming in, all these type of things. And we look at this. But you know what the scepter shall not depart means until Shiloh, till the prince comes. As Isaiah 6, we're reading the Prince of Peace. Here we go. And all they believed, Messiah will come before we ever lose whose lineage it will come through. In 70 AD, Titus, 10th Roman Legion, came in, utterly destroyed, burned Jerusalem to the ground. In the burning were all the records of lineages. You can go to Israel today. You can go around the world today. There is no place that you can find the lineage of the Jewish people. I'm from this family. I'm from this family. Oh, there's traditions, and people say I'm from this lineage of the 12 tribes, but no one can prove it. There's absolutely no writings that can prove. Our family, we were in New York last year. We went to Ellis Island, right? It was Ellis Island. We did the computer thing, and you see when your family came over and where they came over from, and you can find your lineages. And at the best, 1800s, that's what we would find. At best, that's the best we found with my family, Renee's family. And that's probably at best you'll find with the Jewish people. And what we have here is just one of the greatest prophecies in the scriptures that if the people would have been paying attention, especially the rabbis, they would have came to this place. 70 AD, we can no longer trace our lineages. We know that the Messiah must come through the lineage of David. Therefore, our Messiah had to come before the destruction. And they could easily go back and go, well, then who could it possibly be? It would have had to have been somebody through the lineage of David before 70 AD. And here we sit and we know it's Jesus Christ. And then it gets added to an amazing passage for us prophetically as we read the scripture. Verse 10 says, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh comes, till Prince Peace comes. And what are we reading? It unfolds for us in John chapter 18, verse 31. Then Pilate said to them, you take him and judge him according to your law. Therefore the Jews said to him, Pilate, it is not lawful for us to put anyone to death. The Jewish people, under the Roman rule, lost the right to capital punishment. They lost the right, according to the Talmud, their Jewish writings, they had lost that right around 18 BC when Rome came in, and Rome knew for you to be able to enact capital punishment, the death penalty, that makes you a sovereign nation. We, therefore, are going to remove that so you do not have the ability to take life, and therefore we're diminishing the sovereignty of the nation of Israel. And that was like 18 years prior. No more death penalty. So they want to kill Jesus. They had to come to Pilate and say, give us permission to kill him. Do this math. Just do this math. Luke 2, 41 through 50, you can read that on your own. It's the story of them coming to the temple at the age of 12. At the age of 12 is when you would become the person and you would go to the temple. You know, we know today the bar mitzvah and these type of things. Take 18 plus 12, that's 30 years. That's 30 years. Jesus began his public ministry at the age of 30. And these are amazing as you read through these type of things. The Jewish writings would say somewhere around 18 years after such and such, as they do their dating, we lost the right to capital punishment. And amazingly, as we read that, a 12-year-old boy is going into the temple and teaching and being recognized for his word and his knowledge, and then when his parents would find him. So when they saw him, verse 48, they were amazed, and his mother said to him, Son, why have you done this to us? Look, your father and I have sought you anxiously. And he said to them, why did you seek me? Did you not know I must be about my father's business? But they did not understand the statement that he spoke. They said, some of the historical writings said that when the Romans came and made this announcement around 18-ish AD into that no more capital punishment, the rabbis and the church, mature church leaders went into the streets and were ripping their clothes in anguish, and, you know, the whole dust thing and all those type of things, because they said the Messiah has not come. Because they knew that if they ever lost the right to capital punishment, that the Messiah would have had to come, because it says, and the lawgiver shall not depart. And they ripped their clothes, and then once again, they had no idea that Jesus was walking in Jerusalem, walking in Israel. For anyone here today, anyone listening online, I hope the Messiah doesn't walk through your church and through your home and through your city, and you don't even know that that's him. That he's walking among you, and he's extending himself. He's making the offer for you to come. And so often, how easy, and I'll say it even for myself, how easy it is to miss the Messiah walking amongst us. What beautiful pictures that we see through that, and we could make a whole sermon about this. But next we move on to verse 13, and it speaks of Zebulun. Zebulun, you shall dwell by the haven of the sea. He shall become a haven for ships, and his border shall adjoin Sidon. And what we're reading here is, and historically that we would read, they were tremendously financially prosperous for the sea traffic that went back and forth between the Sea of Galilee and this Mediterranean Sea. Picture perfect again. It became a trade route. Verse 14 and 15, as we look at Issachar is a strong donkey laying down between two burdens, and he saw that rest was good and that the land was pleasant. He bowed his shoulder to bear a burden that became a band of slaves. And so this speaks of the rest and the pleasantness. And as we look at Issachar and where they ended up in this place called the Valley of Megiddo. It was the breadbasket of Israel, still is today. Interestingly, this is where the final battle of the world will end, according to the book of Revelation. It's interesting because it's the landmass between Asia and Europe, and they'll meet in this perfect place for this battle. I can't remember who it was. Was it Napoleon? He dreamt this would be the place that he would get the fight. He said it's the perfect place for war, and surely it will be there as we look at the end times. And then we move on to verse 16 and 17 as we look at Dan. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Here he is speaking prophetically. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, a viper by the path that bites the horse's heels so that its rider shall fall backward. The first great judge that's known to come through the tribe of Dan is Samson, so we know that. But it says it will be a serpent by the way, a viper by the path, and Dan will be the one who introduces idolatry into Israel. And it will be the price that they will pay for that as we look at that in Judges 18. Then the children of Dan set for themselves the carved image, and Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of captivity. All the way to the north, they set up their own priesthood. They introduced this idol worship, and they'll be one of the first to fall whenever the Assyrians come. And it's interesting to me as you look at this, and you see in Revelation 7 that Dan is left out of the lineage there in the book of Revelation. Could it be because of their idolatry and or whatnot? But here's what, once again, in Ezekiel, the last 10 chapters of Ezekiel 48 specifically, now these are the names of the tribes from the northern border along the road to Hethan and the entrance of Hamath, to Hazar Anah, the border of Damascus. We know where that's Syria. Northward in the direction of Hamath, there shall be one section for Dan from its east to its west side, by the border of Dan from the east side to the west, one section for Asher. And it's amazing, the last 10 chapters of the book of Ezekiel speak of the millennial kingdom, when God sets his kingdom up here on earth. And the beautiful point that we see here is that God brings Dan back in to the lineage, back into the land, gives them a piece of the land. And what is it, once again, is the continual grace of God. All these things that we're reading, all their failings, and yet if we look and spend time on each and every one of them, we just find this continual grace of God coming back in. And I just say before I move on to that, and it ties in perfectly with verse 18. It says, Jacob, if you look at that, I have waited for your salvation, O Lord. This has nothing to do with Dan. It has nothing to do with Gad in the next verse. It has nothing to do with Reuben, Simeon, Levi. None of these that we've read. It's Jacob, just in the middle of speaking these things, just finding himself coming into the place of praise. Oh, I've waited for your salvation, O Lord. And what he's speaking to his sons, but he's reflecting on his own life. All these things, all my failings, all my scheming, that's what he's known for, the conniver, the schemer, and all these things. And yet, Lord, you've been faithful. You've been faithful to this whole thing. You've never given up on me. You've brought me into this wonderful place of salvation. You could have, should have, threw me away all these years ago, all these doubts that I have and all the things that I did that were just like my boys, and the faults and the failings that I have here. And yet in the middle, he just breaks through, and it's a word for us. He's so gracious. I waited for your salvation. In Psalm 16, 10 and 11, for you will not leave my soul in Sheol, that's a word for hell, nor will you allow your Holy One to see corruption. This is the prophetic picture of Jesus, but it's a word as well for application to us. You will show me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Jacob saying, I'm in the presence. I waited for the Lord, and he showed up and showed himself to me, and I can sit in the fullness of joy, even in my days of dying, the last days of my life. And we always just keep coming back to this for the last weeks that we've been studying the life of Jacob and Joseph as well. Don't quit. Anybody here and you're thinking of quitting? I'm done. I'm just done. This is too hard. Following Jesus is too hard. This walk of faith is too hard. It's just easier I'm not going to renounce my faith by any means. I still believe, but I just can't live this and walk this out. It's just too hard to do these type of things. And all I can say is come into his presence. Don't try to wrestle it. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to say, I'll do these 10 things. All you got to do is just come into his presence, and you'll find the fullness of joy. And he'll take you and he'll move you on from there. Jacob, whatever his thing was, he still stayed in this presence of the Lord. And God did what only God can do. And he brought Jacob through all these things that now he has his family together. He gets to speak a prophetic word. And it's just a beautiful picture for all of us. And I just can't say it enough. Just don't quit, no matter what. I know it's hard. Just don't quit. Verse 19, as we look at Gad, a troop shall tramp upon him, but he shall triumph at last. Well, they are known. That's who they get known for as we look at them, especially 1 Chronicles 5 through 8. They become warriors and they become fighters. We're going to see that with Naphtali and Benjamin, just fierce warriors. And so not only is there a word for us through here, don't quit, but Christian, listen, stay in the fight. We need to fight for one another. We need to stay in this fight. We need to go fight for the kids at the school. We need to go fight for our brothers and sisters in Nepal and around the world and in our homes and all these type of things. And there's this place that God recognizes the warrior that's in us. And then there's a place for us in 2 Timothy 3:4. You therefore must endure hardship as a good soldier of Jesus Christ. No one engaged in warfare entangles himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who enlisted him as a soldier. Israel knows one thing, still to this day, war. They know nothing else but war. They wouldn't know peace for extended period of time in their whole history. And I think there's a correlation for us as 2 Timothy gives us a call. We're going to fight this to the end. Big misconception to think that we should have a life of ease and prosperity and that the devil's not going to come and go for a fight.
You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and right. By the light of the world.
You've been listening to Light of the Word. One of my favorite characters in the Bible is Joseph. What a man of upstanding character and perseverance. He endured many false accusations and was tested in multiple ways, but he passed with flying colors. We're not just talking about his coat of many colors. Although he received this from his father, Joseph's strength of character was far richer in color than any piece of clothing. Joseph was hated by his brothers, betrayed and brought low, as he was sold as a slave. But throughout his life, he kept being brought low, only to be raised up into a position of authority or leadership. Have you ever considered that this might be a refining process that God has in mind for you too? Ultimately, it was through this roller coaster of situations that God used Joseph to help rescue his entire family from famine and death. Next time you're in a valley, questioning what God is doing, look to the story of Joseph, reminding yourself that God has an interesting way of lifting people up who seek to honor Him in their lives. To find out more encouraging content from the book of Genesis, you'll find it at lightoftheword.info. We come to you from Calvary Chapel of Anne Arundel County in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Join us next time for Light of the Word, illuminating the heart of God.
You have made